This is the fourth video of chapter 5 for Inc part. In this, we now finally start talking about trade. So we are talking about what is the effect of international trade when we have a two-factor economy, which is essentially what our Hicks-Rowland theory is all about. So we are saying what is the, let's actually think about it. हमने क्या किया? हम लोगों ने सबसे पहले फिगर आउट किया कि पीपीएफ क्या होगा. फिर हमने फिगर आउट किया कि अगर हमारे पास पीसी बाय पीएफ है तो वो पीपीएफ पे कहाँ पे टेंजेंट होगा, प्रोडक्शन पॉइंट कैसे आएगा. फिर हमने देखा कि उस प्रोडक्शन पॉइंट पे पीसी बाय पीएफ और डब्ल्यू बाय आर और एल बाय के का क्या रिलेशनशिप होता है. देन वी फिगर्ड what is the relationship between W by R and PC by PF, and after that we figured that what happens when labor increases. So now think about it. अगर हम ये प्रूव कर ले किसी तरीके से कि ट्रेड के बाद PC by PF क्या होता है, then we are sorted, right? Then we are okay. So that's what we are doing. We are saying this is the RD curve of the world. You see, I've said this before. I'm gonna say it again. जब हमारे पास RD curve होता है तो चाहे वो एक इकोनॉमी का हो, चाहे वो दोनों इकोनॉमी का हो, या फिर वो पूरे वर्ल्ड का हो, whether it's of one economy, second economy or the whole world. RD curve, if my tastes and preferences are same, तो वो यहीं पे रहेगा. And I want to take a moment to explain this. Let's suppose I like this in the ratio of 2. So every time I want to consume, I want to buy 2 units of cloth with respect to 1 unit of food, which means that my QC by QF will remain 2, whether I'm talking about myself or the other economy or the world. My QC by QF will always remain 2. This is the RS of my country and this is the RS of the foreign country. So my country has more cloth production, so it's on the right. Foreign country has more of food production, so it's on the left. And when they start trading with each other, we come to some point in the middle like 2. So मेरी home country में ये PC by PF था. So in my home country, PC was really low. Why? I had a high production of cloth. In the foreign country, PC by PF was really high. Why? They had a less production of cloth but a high production of food. When they trade with each other, this country will sell there. So इस country का डिमांड बढ़ जाएगा, इस कंट्री का सप्लाई बढ़ जाएगा. सप्लाई बढ़ेगा तो पीसी बाय पीएफ कम होगा, डिमांड बढ़ेगा तो पीसी बाय पीएफ बढ़ेगा, एंड दे विल कम एट अ पॉइंट 2, which is the point of going to be the world. So PC by PF world is this. This is my PC by PF world. How did I get this? By some combination of home and foreign country. राइट. सो अब अगर मेरे पास फॉरेन कंट्री का पीसी बाय पीएफ है और मेरे पास अगर होम कंट्री का पीपीएफ है, नाउ यू नो ना व्हाई वी डिड दैट. सो अगर मेरे पास वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी का पीसी बाय पीएफ है और होम कंट्री का पीपीएफ है तो मैं दोनों को कंबाइन कर सकती हूँ. येस. कैन आई फिगर आउट द पॉइंट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन? ऑफ कोर्स. कैन आई फिगर आउट डब्ल्यू बाय आर? येस. Can I also figure out the mix of inputs? Yes. So I'm done. So I know everything. I just had to figure out what is PC by PF, which we have done. So this is the reason why we went backward in this chapter. Alright. So in case you're facing any confusion here, I would suggest you go back to the previous videos and study them again. If not, then let's continue. So what happens? Trade changes PC by PF. When PC by PF changes, there is a change in distribution of income. Now I'm going to the factors you've already studied. So जब PC by PF change होता है तो W by R change होता है, हमें पता है, हमने स्टडी किया था. और अगर W by R change होता है तो जो इनकम लेबर की है और कैपिटल की है वो भी तो चेंज हो रही है ना, which means there is a change in distribution of income. What is distribution of income? Nothing but figuring out how much money does labor get, how much money does capital get. What is the income of labor? What is the income of capital? Obviously वो change हो रहा है ना, क्योंकि W by R change हो रहा है. इसीलिए जब PC by PF बढ़ता है तो we know W by R बढ़ता है. From the second video we did that relation, right? And जब W by R बढ़ता है तो automatically labor को gain होगा और capital को loss होगा. So कौन सा factor gain किया? जो फैक्टर हमारी कंट्री में अबंडेंट है. अबंडेंट फैक्टर गेन्स फ्रॉम ट्रेड. आई वांट टू एक्सप्लेन दिस वन मोर टाइम. व्हेन लेट्स सपोज वी आर होम कंट्री, हमारे पास क्या ज़्यादा है? लेबर. तो हम किस में अबंडेंट है? क्लॉथ में. तो जब हमने ट्रेड किया तो हम क्या एक्सपोर्ट करेंगे? वी विल एक्सपोर्ट क्लॉथ. Why will we export cloth? Because our PC by PF is going to increase when there is a trade possibility. तो मतलब जब ट्रेड होता है, when there is a trade possibility, तब क्या होगा? PC by PF बढ़ेगा. जब PC by PF बढ़ेगा तो हम क्या एक्सपोर्ट करेंगे? क्लॉथ. राइट. सो जब PC/PF बढ़ा, ऑब्वियसली क्योंकि हम एक्सपोर्ट करेंगे क्लॉथ, तो इसका मतलब W/R बढ़ा. जब W/R बढ़ा, इसका मतलब लेबर income increases. If labor income is increasing, automatically we can say the other way around, capital income falls, which means labor is gaining from trade. What was labor? Labor was what the home country was abundant in. So the abundant factor gains from trade. What we are not saying, what is obvious right here? The scarce factor, which is capital, scarce factor loses from trade. So we are not saying this loses from trade. हमने ये बोला नहीं, but ये actually होगा ना, क्योंकि अगर लेबर की इनकम बढ़ेगी तो कैपिटल की इनकम कम तो होगी ना. So when I say abundant factor gains from trade, in a way I'm saying scarce factor loses from trade, but we don't say that. We never focus on the negativity. We always focus on the positivity. So abundant factor gains from trade. Flip side, scarce factor loses from trade, right? So we talk about a case study here. Although I'm sure you guys must have understood by now, but I want to actually take a moment and explain this one more time before I go into this, because then there's not going to be enough time for us to come back. So the country that is abundant in a factor exports the good whose production is intensive in that factor. I know it sounds really complicated, बड़ा simple है. Cloth labor intensive है, तो क्लॉथ वो कंट्री प्रोड्यूस करेगी जिसके पास ज़्यादा लेबर होगा. अगर वो कंट्री प्रोड्यूस करेगी क्लॉथ जिसके पास ज़्यादा लेबर होगा, तो वही कंट्री एक्सपोर्ट करेगी ना. सो द कंट्री विच हैज़ एन अबंडेंट फैक्टर विल सेल दैट गुड विच इज इंटेंसिव इन इट्स अबंडेंट फैक्टर. प्लेन एंड सिंपल. सो होम विल सेल क्लॉथ, फॉरेन विल सेल फूड, right? So we are using that to explain this case study, which is a skill bias technological change and income inequality case study. लेबर स्किल्ड एंड अनस्किल्ड. हमारे पास दो तरह की लेबर है, लेबर स्किल्ड भी है और लेबर अनस्किल्ड भी है. हमारे पास दो गुड्स है, एक गुड है हाई टेक, एक दूसरा गुड है लो टेक. लो टेक ऑब्वियसली विल रिक्वायर अनस्किल्ड लेबर, दैट्स द फैक्टर इट नीड्स मोर. हाई टेक ऑब्वियसली रिक्वायर्स मोर ऑफ स्किल्ड लेबर. तो अगर हमारे पास दो कंट्रीज हैं, तो और दो कंट्रीज में दीज आर द टू कर्व्स दैट वी गेट. सो हमारे पास क्या हुआ? सो व्हाट हैपेंड हियर? This is the effect of trade. So this is the effect of trade. This actually is the x-axis here. So when initially we were seeing, we were here at this WS by WH, WS by WS. So the wages of skilled labor divided by wages of unskilled labor. हम यहाँ पे थे, इस point पे थे. जब हमारे पास trade हुआ, when we traded, our WS by WU increased, which means my economy was specializing in skilled labor. तो हमारे पास skilled versus unskilled unemployment है यहाँ पे. Right, so this WS by WU increased when there was trade in the economy. And when there's a skill bias technological change, मतलब हमारी कंट्री में काफ़ी सारी अनस्किल लेबर जो है वो स्किल लेबर में कन्वर्ट होगी. इट्स लाइक हैविंग ए लेबर इंक्रीज, इट्स सेम केस सिनारियो, बट वी आर सेइंग नाउ कि हमारा कैपिटल फॉल कर गया और लेबर इंक्रीज हो गया. इट्स लाइक सेइंग दैट हमारा अनस्किल लेबर कम हो गया और स्किल लेबर बढ़ गया. सो माई अनस्किल लेबर वेंट डाउन एंड माई स्किल लेबर वेंट up. When that happened, because हमारा जब WS by WU बढ़ा, then automatically there was change in the low tech goods and there was change in the high tech goods. But the increase in the high tech goods was much higher, as you can see. The increase in the high tech goods was much higher as compared to the increase in the low tech goods. So this is the case of our biased growth. So whenever we have biased growth, what happens? The increase in the good, obviously जो हमारे पास हमारी इंसेंटिव है वो ज़्यादा होगा as compared to the other good. So this is also something we've studied already. Remember अभी हम लोगों ने दो PPF बनाए थे जिसमें हमने बोला था अगर लेबर इंक्रीज हो जाएगी तो क्या हो जाएगा? We'll have a biased growth. It's the same thing here. We are showing the same thing. We are showing now there's a biased growth towards the skilled employee. I know it can get confusing, and now you guys are getting confused because you're taking it as skilled and unskilled. For a moment, take skilled as cloth and unskilled as food. take skilled as labor and unskilled as capital, take high tech as cloth and low tech as food, and this entire thing will be absolutely clear. You can actually pause the video right now and do that, and this will completely make sense, and then apply the same thing here. It's something we've already done. So what also Heckscher-Ohlin says it does is it actually brings about factor price equalization. मतलब जब दो कंट्रीज में पीसी बाय पीएफ एक हो जाता है, वो तो एक होता ही है ना, बिकॉज फॉर द फॉरेन कंट्री पीसी बाय पीएफ फॉल्स इन द होम कंट्री, पीसी बाय पीएफ इंक्रीजेस. So when we have the same PC by PF in the two countries, it automatically leads to the same W by R in the two countries. So increased PC by PF for the home will mean increased W by R for home. Reduced PC by PF for foreign will mean reduced W by R for foreign, and will eventually lead to factor price equalization. So equalization of goods lead to equalization of factor prices. This further implies that factor prices are not dependent on labor demand, labor supply, but rather on the goods prices. But in the real world, factor prices are not equalized. I want to give an argument to both. जब हमारा PC by PF equalize हुआ, इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि मेरी कंट्री जब क्लॉथ एक्सपोर्ट कर रही है तो क्लॉथ की प्रोडक्शन बढ़ाएगी. क्लॉथ की प्रोडक्शन बढ़ाएगी तो लेबर की डिमांड बढ़ाएगी. When it will increase the labor's demand, it will automatically increase W by R. Similarly, in the foreign country, the opposite will be true. So this may lead to this, this will lead to this, and this equalization may also then lead to W by R equalization, right? Which is why this could be true. Now, why in the real world they are not equalized? Because in the real world अगर फॉरेन कंट्री में W by R ज़्यादा है तब भी migration will not allow me to move there, right? So there's a cost of migration, there's a cost of shifting from one country to another country. So it is not as easy as it is on paper, which is why factor price equalization though seems a very good idea, though seems like this will happen, but in real life it doesn't really happen. And factor price equalization, although is like something that really doesn't happen, but it does lead to convergence of factor prices. So W by R certainly converge towards each other, but it will never be equal to each other because there's a lot of other aspects which we are not considering here. The other aspects being कि हमारे पास हमेशा real life में दो goods से ज़्यादा goods होते हैं. In real life we may not always export one good, and we may not always use all our resources in production of that good. We will keep on producing the other good. In real life we have a lot of other factors which do not lead to equalization, but it will lead to some sort of convergence. So factor price equalization के लिए हमने 3 assumptions ली थी. Technology same है, so that's why when both the countries are producing the two goods, when home country produces more of cloth, it produces more of cloth because it is more labor and not because of anything else. Costless trade equalizes the prices of goods in the two countries. Not true again. Trade कभी भी costless नहीं होता है. Both the countries produce both the goods. Again not true. हो सकता है एक country बोले मैं तो सिर्फ cloth produce करूँगी, food produce ही नहीं करूँगी. फिर हो सकता है एक country बोले मैं तो food के साथ साथ और कोई good produce करूँगी. I will not produce cloth at all. So because these 3 things are not the same, that's why factor price equalization does not happen in the real world. So this is all what we do in this video, except that there's one last thing, which is Leontief paradox, which is just a very small empirical evidence, which is that when we were testing the US data, it was expected that US will be an exporter of capital goods and importer of labor good. But ऐसा नहीं था. This result is called Leontief paradox, and a variety of different economists actually came to study why Leontief paradox happened. A lot of people said, oh, so US is actually exporting skilled labor goods. Other people said that no, this was to be expected. So a lot of economists did a lot of research and figured out why this is true. But otherwise, we don't need to know that. What we need to know is that US actually in fact was an exporter of labor goods. Whether they were highly skilled labor goods or not, we don't know, we don't care. And this result was called a Leontief paradox. Sometimes in the exams you get a 2-marker to explain Leontief paradox. Thank you. This was all in this video, and we continue with the appendix in the next video.